This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Millennials and baby boomers alike, they want to be in urban environments right now.
Thank God for the Electoral College vote.
In a 4-hour breakfast, we raised $9,000. So that's something that we take pretty seriously.
And you can't diet your way into being lean and fit. They go together.
In New York City, deciding what's best for the rest of the freaking country.
This is not a market built on a stack of cards. It's a solid foundation.
0%. That is a thumbs up.
Everyone has a life worth telling a story about. And the more adversity that you faced, the deeper your story.
Well, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be able to walk?
There's just so much creativity in this town that it's hard to hide it.
Well, you have these beliefs, well, what do you do with it?
We're about to learn more on a moving company that helps transitioning veterans. Please welcome the founder of Motivated Military Movers, Terry Wagner.
There he is. Terry, what's up, my friend?
Derek, great to see you.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Welcome to the set of Smarter San Diego TV. Great to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
Motivated Military Movers is your company.
Yes.
A lot of reasons why we're having you on today. First of all, a lot of people need a good moving company.
That's right.
That's number one. Number two, you served the country.
I did.
In the Navy. Thank you for your service, by the way. A lot of other people here in San Diego served the country as well, and that's something that you're really helping with. Tell us about your company.
Yeah, well, Motivated Military Movers, or MMM, is a moving company that I started in 2008. And getting out of the military is really hard to transition. So I started this company to help other veterans transition out of the military. And
to give them a place to land? In
exactly.
other words, like, okay, I'm out, what's next? This is the place they can go.
Yes, we give them immediate employment to, get some work going while they're trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
And then we also teach them the moving trade. Moving is definitely a trade, just like carpentry or plumbing or whatever. And then they also get to practice those military skills they've learned in the civilian world and get them ready for whatever they're going to do next, whether it's staying with us or whatever they're going to do next.
So you have them do like push-ups if they scratch anything, or how's it? Tell me how it's for the people out there who are in the military or just getting out of the military or about to get out of the military and don't quite have a place to land yet. Let's say on the employment side, because I know you guys are always hiring or looking for good people.
Yes.
Is it the boot camp atmosphere, or how is it good and fit for someone who's coming out of the military?
Well, I try not to go drill instructor on my movers. The military thing is there, but really these guys are great. They're disciplined, they're professional, and that's the thing that makes us a really good moving company is what we learned in the military. So the guys are good with that. I really don't have to get on them too much and yell at them and make them do push-ups. Yeah.
Not too much.
No, not too much.
Now, I will say, full disclosure, we have used Motivated Military Movers. In fact, they moved some stuff out of this set and into my home, and then some stuff around here, and then even took some stuff and hauled away some stuff. So you guys did a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
It was a holiday when you came.
Yes.
Which was super helpful for me because that was the day that I was available to do it. So I can tell you firsthand that they do a great job, and very fairly priced as well. Yes. I will say, because there are a lot of what seems to be the new thing in your space is this almost like a luxury movement, which I know that's aimed at a certain type of clientele. Yeah. Like, hey, pay us an exorbitant amount of money and we'll handle every last detail for you. But that's not your world. What you're really doing is you're doing very competitively priced moves with very motivated individuals who understand how to take direction and who can effectively do things quickly. Is that kind of what the MO is?
That's exactly what we do. We're very competitive when it comes to our pricing, but there's just a lot of value in our service because you got guys that were in the military, they're disciplined, like you said, they know what to do, and it just works out really well. Now,
for people who let's go to that other side of it, because first of all, if you hire Motivated Military Movers, you're helping a veteran-owned organization that employs veterans.
Correct.
And do you only employ veterans?
Our goal is to hire 100% military and veterans.
Gotcha.
Yes. That is our goal, and right now we are currently hiring 100% military and veterans.
Okay, cool. So for people out there who, if you know someone who's, coming off active duty, doesn't have a plan yet, needs some work, or wants to just line something up until you can figure out what's next, right? Because it's a big thing. Let's talk about that. I mean, when you transitioned out, did you immediately start this business? Did you have this idea before you got out, or did you go somewhere else first?
No, actually, well, in the military, I was a Navy corpsman, so I had medical training, and I was going to do that. But that took a little while to get going, and that's one of the big problems of when you're getting out of the military. It takes a while to, get on your feet and also kind of find out what you're going to do, and some of those things might take a while. Again, for my case, I wanted to work in the government, with the government, in a government job. So it took me a while to, go through the whole process, and I needed money right away. So that's when I started the company, and that's what makes it really good for guys getting out. Is sometimes like Marines, for example, they'll want to be a cop sometimes. Go figure. They're used to shooting guns and doing that whole thing, so they want to be a cop, and that's great. But it can take up to 2 years to do that. So in the meantime, what are you doing? So they get to work with our company and be around other veterans, and I think that's the biggest thing is the camaraderie. One thing you learn in the military is the camaraderie, and you get that when you come work at Motivated Military Movers.
You're being a part of a team.
Being part of a team.
Right, and having a job and knowing what you need to do, and there's a sense of accomplishment in moving too. As much as it sucks, anyone who's ever moved something on your own, it's not fun. But that's why you hire a company to do it for you. I tell you, I've moved my last item. I'm done. I have a bad back, and it's just not worth it. Anything, it's just not worth it. So, and I think that happens, a lot of people kind of get to a point, when you're in college, you move yourself, right? But at a certain point, you go, all right, I'm too old for this. Let the young guys handle it, And that's when you look to hire a company to do it for you, which makes sense. Now, in your case, there's a lot of real big positives here, and I just want to kind of recap what those are. Number one, very competitively priced. In fact, I was pretty surprised by how inexpensive it was for the stuff that you guys did for us. Number two, you're supporting a veteran-owned organization. Number three, you're hiring veterans. So if it's the case that it's not just veteran-owned, but veteran-operated.
Yes.
And so if you want to, get a move done well and support the veterans, this is a really good way to do that. Yeah, it's a win-win for everybody. It really is. I can't tell you how many times the customers are just blown away by our service. Again, those traits you learn in the military, those soft skills, intangibles, they play so well in moving, and the customer just love us. And they get to interact with the military, which is great too. A lot of people in San Diego, they know about the military, it's a military town, but when you're up close and personal and you're in people's homes, it really creates like a bond, and it's really cool. They ask us about our service, and it's just a win-win for everybody. And then the military, us, we're feeling great too, because they're thanking us for our service, and feeling good about accomplishing moving people's stuff safe and efficient. Yeah, it's true. There is an accomplishment feeling in getting a move done, which I think is good for transitioning military members, because they're so used to like getting a mission and then you accomplish it and you're like, yes, okay, I did my job. Like that's a good feeling. Yes. And you don't get that with a lot of the stuff out in the civilian world, but moving you definitely do. There's a huge sense of accomplishment. I got to ask you while we have you here, Terry, moving tip? Is there any tips? I'm sure you figured out there are common things people do wrong or don't do. Give us a tip. Yes, definitely. Thanks for asking about that. Our MMM moving tip of the day is, I'm just kidding, but seriously, we have a lot of different tips for customers, but one of the ones that I thought of that's a really good one to save some extra money, because San Diego is an expensive place to live, so use your luggage. If you can use your luggage and save on a box, there you go. And it's easier to spot the luggage amongst all the boxes as well. So if you put like your clothes in your luggage, which makes sense, when you get your boxes and everything unloaded, there you go. You can spot that suitcase or what have you, and it's easy to find. Use your luggage. Yeah. And we do recommend boxes, of course, because they're easier to transport on the dollies and stuff like that, but we want customers to save some money, so yeah, you use your luggage if you can. Yeah, and one thing that I like about you guys, I will say this from personal experience, is you've moved some stuff in here and into my home. There was a very difficult situation with the space. Yes. I have kind of a weird stair situation in my apartment, which is on the second floor. and the couches were big, and it was complicated, but you guys immediately went to problem-solving mode, unscrewed the legs, figured out how to get it in, and you're in and out of there in no time. It's impressive.
Yeah, it was awesome. Moving has lots of challenges, but I think again, that's what we learned in the military. We have hard situations we go through, and it's like, hey, let's get together, let's be a team, and let's figure out what we need to do, and let's get it done, and that's it.
All right, great stuff. Terry, appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Derek.
Motivated Military Movers. If you or anyone you know is moving soon, great prices, support the veterans here in San Diego. And of course, stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
Our next guest is going to share how she balances her hectic work schedule with her home life. Please welcome the owner of the Avenue Home Collective, Melissa Sofia.
Just in time for a flyover. That's perfect. I love that we can fiddle around with the technology for, 10 minutes
Forever.
And then flyover.
Yes.
The sound of freedom.
That's right.
Melissa Sofia, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you? I'm here.
You are
so
here. It's great to have you
here. It's a good day.
It is a good day. I think, you just recently went to Big Bear.
I did.
With the whole family.
Yes.
And I saw that and I go, you know what? I want to have Melissa on to talk about work-life balance, because you're one of those people. I got an email from you last night at 12:15 a.m. And you're obviously busy with your real estate practice.
Yes.
You have 3 young children.
I do.
So, let's dive into this.
Okay.
How do you balance all this stuff? Work, family, and you got to have fun at some point too.
You know what? Fun is very important to me, as you saw from my Big Bear trip. I have to say I'm definitely not one of those people that subscribes to this idea that I'm going to work really hard for 20 years, 30 years, and then I'm going to retire some far off day. It's really important to me to have not only work-life balance, but work-life integration, so that I can maintain a level of happiness that is sustainable every day. I don't want to put off happiness to some far off day. So I think balancing fun into my work and family life is crucial. I wouldn't want to live life any other way. So I definitely, the first thing I do is make the decision. I learned a long time about myself that I am just not one of these people that can live a life for the future. I wanna do it for today.
Do it today.
Exactly.
So in other words, why wait? Is kind of the idea, because
why wait?
We, my parents, I'm sure your parents as well.
Yes.
They grew up in a totally different environment where it was like, hey, put in your 30 years at the company.
Right.
And then you'll be able to take it easy.
Right.
And that was kind of the process and what everyone was waiting for and what everyone was shooting for.
Right.
That was actually the dream.
It was the dream. Just work at your factory job for, 30 years and then, retire. But tomorrow is never promised. And, my dad actually used to really try to instill this, don't leave work for tomorrow that can be done today. And I took that and kind of turned that into, don't leave work or play for tomorrow that can be done today. So yeah, absolutely. I think that, one of the most important things is just making a deliberate decision about what your life goals are. Decide what is important to you, what you really want out of life. Some people really want flexibility. Some people really want travel. Some people really want the stability of a 9-to-5 job. That's great. Everybody's different. So I think it's super important to figure out what it is that's very important to you as far as your life goal, and then make that decision, figure out why it is that motivates you and why you want that, and let that fuel you and get you to those life goals. So, I think a big part of it is mindset and just the decision to, to actually live the life you want to live right now and not wait or put it off.
Yeah, I think in the past we talked about the old way. And it was a very compulsive life,
Yes.
Very routine. And we can get into routines really easily. We can slip into routines almost subconsciously.
Right.
And we're not aware that we're doing the same things over and over and over.
Yeah.
And the days can just disappear.
Yeah.
And then, it's all behind you. I think what everyone wants is the same, although it does change in the form that it takes
Totally.
physically, I think we all want the same thing, which is really just the freedom to be ourselves. I think that's what everyone really wants deep down, is just the freedom to be who you are, not have to be guarded, and not have to worry about, can I say this, can I do that?
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is to have fun and
Absolutely.
to be goofy and to just totally take down your guard. And I don't think we do enough of that.
Exactly.
But you and I mean, if you could have seen what we were doing before before the show
Work
started,
equals play
I mean-
equals fun. That's how you have. That's how you have to live it. You know, but I think that we both make the decision to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to come into work and just, you know, work and leave. You know, we are making a career of what we feel is fun and makes us happy. You know, I can tell that you're doing that because you're passionate about what you do, and you're always so excited about, you know, this new technology and this new idea, and you know you're hitting that place in life when you are just, everything is easily kind of falling into place. And you know, I think that a big part of it is, for me, you know, I've always really liked helping people achieve the dream of buying and selling homes. I love helping them through this process that they feel is really scary and really daunting, and kind of just making them feel like it's easy. You know, it doesn't have to be a big drama. It doesn't have to be a big problem. I can help them through it and not be in this super stressed out, I'm gonna freak out mode all the time.
So helping others relieve stress
exactly
is something that helps you fuel your passion.
Absolutely.
For having fun.
Absolutely.
Because there's two different ways. You can go from like neutral to the fun side, or you can come down some on the stress side.
Right.
And those are both going in the right direction.
I mean, for me, I have to put fun into everything I do. I just could never. I figured out at like 18 that I just could not go to work and, you know, just be someone that I wasn't. You know, I couldn't do that. I have to have fun incorporated into it. Even now, you know, helping people buy homes is great. I've been doing it for 16 years though. So opening my own brokerage kind of opened new doors and new dreams for myself that made me more motivated and more excited to, you know, even further what I'm doing. You know, like we're now incorporating things like helping figure out how to make agents and the whole real estate industry kind of more friendly and more easygoing. And but you know what I'm saying though? Like,
I knew you were struggling with something there. I just didn't know what it was. Like, what is this? Because you're just never at a loss for words.
I'll tell you.
You want to make real estate agents more friendly.
No, well, but not just like I'm going to sell people homes friendly. I'm talking like,
I know I'm messing
you know
with
what I mean though?
I get it. I totally get it. I just had to take that opportunity because you were at a loss there.
I was. Well, how do I not insult my industry? And no, just
you're not insulting anyone.
No,
I mean,
it's
the thing
true.
is, like, it's a very serious situation.
It is a very serious situation, but we don't have to make people feel like everything is so dramatic and just. There's definitely two sides of this business. You know, there are people who kind of bulldoze everyone.
Yes.
And just, you know, are kind of trying to be this hardcore, like, take me seriously agent, do it my way.
It's one of them right now.
Yeah, right there.
They're like
bulldozing my.
Screw you! I'm still bulldoze your segment. Friendly this.
See, friendly.
I'm gonna fly over 4 times in a row. It's never been done before. Watch.
Exactly. Yeah, but you know, I just think that like the whole process doesn't have to be like that. You know, as an industry, we can all be working together.
Make it 5.
Make it 5.
This is the biggest middle finger I've ever got in the studio.
It's like my
Screw
challenge.
your live broadcast.
Can she talk louder than the Jets? Which I can. That's definitely possible.
How about for people who are struggling with this? Like, what's a step one? Like, you know, there's so many people who are so stressed out. It's so sad.
Yeah.
You know, I met with I don't want to say too much, but you know, I met with some people recently, and one of them is so stressed out.
Right.
About everything. And it's like, I think if you take on the idea that things are a bigger deal than they really are,
absolutely,
then you can seriously, like, if you start to believe in your own fear,
absolutely,
then you can apply it to anything. You can be afraid to do anything. You can be afraid to walk down the stairs. You can be afraid to get in your car. Like, so I think a lot of people are afraid to have fun, afraid to set aside time because they will lose something on the work side of things.
100%.
And you are talking about fully integrating both, like social, work, like it's all one thing.
It's all one thing
it's
for
not,
me.
It's because a lot of people say you have to draw a line, like you have to, stop working and so that you can do family. You have to stop working. Is that true? I mean, how do you put those things together?
Well, first of all, that's a few questions in one, but absolutely. I think that one of the most important things we were talking about is making the deliberate choice. So a lot of it is mindset. So I know that I can do it. Dan and Katie, thanks for this. I come out of a place of hope rather than fear. Mm-hmm. I don't let fear control my life. I don't think I can make it. I don't think I can do it. I don't think it's going to work. That doesn't ever cross my mind. Because I know I can do it, I just do. So I definitely think coming from a place of hope rather than fear is very important. And making time for yourself and making time for the things that you love and that are important for you are absolutely crucial. It reminds you who you are, and it kind of gives you a new life, a new breath of joy and happiness, and it helps you incorporate that spark from inside you into what you do. And when you're happy, you are attracting people to you. So especially for a business like real estate, and there are a lot of, everything.
Doesn't matter what
Doesn't
you do.
matter what you do. When you incorporate happiness into it.
The guy at Starbucks who's super nice that you remember.
100%.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it is you're doing. People enjoy other people who are enjoying life. Even if they're a complete Scrooge,
Exactly.
they'll actually get a little bit of joy.
I love that.
If you're joyful around them.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
If someone's Scrooging.
Yeah, if there's somebody
you go poke
Scrooging,
'em,
just
you go give it to them, give them the business. You're like, hey, buddy, hey, there.
No, it's true though. What is life if we're not walking around the world and helping to make it a better place? Even if it's just smiling at somebody, even if it's just kind of lightening the mood in a place and making it a better place. It's better for you to just be there yourself if it's a happier place. But I just think it's so important. And I don't mean to sit here and sound like Little Miss Sunshine, but it is. It absolutely making yourself making it a priority to bring happiness into your life, whether that be, for me, I always make time to spend time with my husband. I like to do little things, even if it's just dropping my daughter off at school, making dinner for my family every night, setting aside certain things that are important to them and to me. It fuels me. Even doing like a quick getting your nails done, going to a spa day, and definitely vacations. I'm a vacation addict. I really think it's important to get away, even if it's a staycation.
Yeah.
Once a quarter.
A little simple getaway. Doesn't have to be anything elaborate or crazy.
No. Here's the thing. What is life that's worth living if you are not enjoying it? And here in America, we actually have this very, very, very work-centered culture. When you're traveling around the world, it's not as much like this everywhere else.
Yeah.
A lot of other countries, they're focused on family and eating and vacationing. And here we have to constantly remind ourselves to give ourselves a break a little bit. If we want to make it through life and, not die of stress and enjoy it, then we really have to incorporate these things.
Maybe marry an Italian.
Marry an Italian. That helps. That helps, definitely. Well, and,
If you want to eat well.
It's true. But just as far as getting it all done, people are always asking how do you get it all done? I think definitely part of it is mindset, knowing that I can do it and just getting it done, but also increasing efficiency. I put a lot of tools to use. For me, I'm constantly making lists. I literally don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I have to look to my calendar to see it because I utilize my calendar so much to increase my efficiency.
By the way, that's a huge tip. I can't tell you how many people aren't using calendars. It's simple. It's on your phone.
Oh my gosh.
And you don't have to think. You don't have to remember stuff. You don't have to worry about what's going on tomorrow. It's all right in there. You can look at it the night before and go, okay, I see what's going on.
Exactly.
That's a huge stress reliever for me. Is to because I don't even know what's going on tomorrow until today's done.
Right.
I worry about today.
Exactly.
And then tomorrow we'll worry about tomorrow.
Exactly. So it's kind of like you were saying, you're kind of building a routine in, but it doesn't have to be, a routine, like a boring routine. You know, you're
Same
just,
old, same old.
It doesn't have to be same old, same old. You are just utilizing your calendar to fit more things in. You know, the more things that you can put in your schedule. For me, I'm a night owl, as you know. So, you know, in the morning, I'm waking up with my family. You know, I have kids. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So it's a lot, you know, but I don't want to make them feel like, you know, put your shoes on, get in the car, like, let's go, I have to work. You know, I want them to also remember, you know, like making breakfast and having like a nice start to the day. So I really set aside some time for my family in the morning, and that's important to me. So at night, when they're all asleep and they're quiet, I can email you.
Yeah, and you do, and that's awesome. But that's great though. You've set your priority.
Exactly.
You just spend time with the kids first. You can email me later.
Exactly.
And I think that's the big takeaway from that statement is
setting
that
parameters.
This is what's most important to me, so I'm going to do that first. And that's where people get lost is they disprioritize stuff, and that's when you start to feel like life is a trap.
Exactly.
But I promise you, life is not a trap.
It is not.
The exit is always open.
It is. Setting parameters for
Everyone's trying to dodge the exit.
It's true.
That's the truth.
It is.
If you start to feel like life is a trap, it's because you haven't prioritized properly.
Right.
It's not a trap.
Right. And setting parameters for your success is absolutely super important. You know, I will not answer all of my text messages and all of my calls and all of my emails as they come in. I would drown under that. So I set aside a time in my calendar. You know, I set aside certain time periods of my day that are dedicated to knocking all of those things out because I could increase my efficiency.
I respect that, by the way, because I do the same thing.
Right.
I know sometimes people are like, how come I only get an email from you like during a certain same time of the day?
Right.
Because I don't want to email you back and forth 20 times.
Right.
You know, I want you to know that this isn't a conversation we're having here.
Yeah.
Like you know, if you want to have a conversation, call me.
Yes.
We'll have a conversation. We're not going to have a conversation through email.
Exactly. And I even use Calendly, and you know, have you looked into that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they can schedule a time in your calendar.
Totally. I actually used to use that a lot. Well, great stuff. This is all really, really good stuff. I think the keys here are hashtag Little Miss Sunshine for anyone who wants to share this video. And if you
hashtag Lady Glitter Sparkles.
or if you want to share some of these secrets from someone who has a 2, a 4, a 6-year-old, an Italian husband, and great hair, then, you know, here you all got it right here live on the Smarter San Diego page. Thank you for that. And if you're tuning in on television, stick around for more Smarter San Diego. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
Our next guest wants you off the fence. Please welcome our beloved Big Daddy, Bryan Garrity.
Bam, Big Daddy's back. Boom! There he is, back in the house. What's up, my friend? How you doing?
Good, good.
So you're telling me that buyers in the marketplace right now need to get off the fence. I'm going to let you go first on that.
You're going to debate me.
Before I chime
real
in.
estate debate on my Smarter segment? All right. That's okay.
Well, you think buyers should get off the fence. I have to have your reasons.
Well, yeah, I have mixed. Right now, in the way that the climate is going, we all know rates are going to start pushing up. Rates are still low, historically. I know people don't want to hear that, but people somehow or another got so tied into those threes that now when they hear 4.625, they freak. So if that freaks you out, get off the fence, because your purchasing power is going to go down, and our values right now are not going down. Sellers also should probably get off the fence if they're thinking about it, because why not be selling high?
Yeah.
Especially if you think that you're going to be moving. But buyers, what I see happen is this, maybe 3 out of 5 times, the initial meeting with people will be, oh, we're ready, but we just want to wait and see what happens during the summer, or we want to make sure rates don't get too high. If you want to make sure rates don't get too high, you need to lock now or get into something now. Our inventory is low, which sucks, but it's true. It's scary low. That makes me a little bit nervous, actually, just in general, with the inventory being so low, like it's going to have to come back. If I was a buyer right now and I knew I wanted to purchase and I was paying $9,000 a month rent, joking, but that's what it feels like for people, you can be making a mortgage payment and probably be paying less. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah, rent's definitely really high, and that's causing a lot of people
for
to
here,
consider
right?
it.
Especially, they say through 2025 that rents are going to be at least 55% of people's disposable gross income, not net.
That's crazy.
Gross income. So when you think about that's your gross before what you take home. 55%, you can't even get a mortgage at that, an FHA mortgage. But I mean, come on.
That's a risky mortgage.
Thank you.
Pop quiz. Do you know who the #1 landowner is in the United States?
Warren Buffett? No. Bryan Garrity?
The Catholic Church.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do know that.
The Mormon Church is second.
That's nice.
And the Salvation Army is third. And the reason I bring that up is because most people have no idea about that.
I did know the Catholic Church part, but I did not know the Mormon part.
I'm still concerned that long term, and this is the one point I'm going to agree with you on before I go to the reasons I disagree. The reason that I agree with you,
yes, sir.
I still believe that in 50 years, maybe less, maybe more, but over a certain period of a couple generations, very few people are going to have the opportunity to own homes. I think it's going to be something that only the elite get the opportunity to own a home, because people are grabbing up land and they're accumulating it, and eventually they'll have it all, or most of it. And it'll be very few people who actually have the opportunity to own a home. So that's the one reason why I agree with you. If you're a buyer, you can buy a home, pay it off, give it to future generations. That'll be the only way that people in the future will be able to buy homes.
That's interesting.
I know it sounds conspiracy theory.
No.
Just look at the trends. Look at the trends.
It's rolling out of my mouth. I just say, look where we're at now. Look where it's headed.
Look at the trends.
It's pretty scary. And how like the millennials and the multi-generational families are all starting to load back up into one house. We're seeing a lot more of that. I mean, scarcity of housing, of land. I didn't really even think about it. That's a really, really good point. I'll give it to you back. I mean, it's
very macro, is what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm zooming way out on that. But I do think for a lot of buyers, it's scary right now because they remember the crash, and they don't want to be one of those people who bought at the top. And now we're approaching some of the highs that we saw pre-crash.
6, yeah, right.
And so people are concerned that that it could be the same thing, and I don't have any good reason to tell them it's not, other than my macro theory that eventually, if you can afford to buy a house today, it makes sense to do it if you have a long-term perspective, because I don't know if you'll ever be able to buy a house.
I like your macro theory. It was good. I get an A for that. Honestly, let me tell you, with the implosion, the only thing I would say that happened 10 years ago that's different now, so novel of this, but you have to qualify to get a mortgage. Now you have to make sure you have the assets, you have the income. So when I tell somebody that, they're like, what are you talking about? You always had to qualify. No, 10 years ago you could get $1 million loan, 12 properties, stated income, stated assets. People were getting into houses they couldn't afford, which caused us to completely implode and caused all the short sales and foreclosures, which I did many of actually. Traditional sales, much better, but at the same, I'll tell you this: you're going to hire an agent. You're going to hire an agent that's been through a short sale process or that's done a lot of those. Those are the workers, and I was part of that. Also, having a law degree helps. But I'm going to tell you that I do believe that I never thought about that, like how the Catholic Church does own the majority of property. I'm not going to talk about the rest of them since I'm Catholic. I'll leave it at that. But and I have strong opinions about the other two. But the thing that I would say as a buyer, you really do. If you've been thinking about buying, the scarcity of inventory being out there, rates going up, getting yourself in a bad position. People are afraid they're not. It's not going to be the same as 10 years ago. There will be a historical. History repeats itself. We know it does every 7 to 10 years. I think this last implosion really threw us off, and so we may just starting to become out near another correction. I don't think it will implode the same. I think people have a little bit more safety in the way mortgages are
already there, aren't we? We were kind of already.
I think we're at top of the market.
We're already where you have to be doing extremely well to own a home.
You have to. I have doctors that come in, obviously just coming out of their residency, whatever. Doctors that come in that are like, I can't afford more than $500,000 in this town. Are you kidding me? Doctors.
Yeah.
Obviously, will they be able to down the road? Yes. But I'm talking about the youngins, the molecules that are coming out of their residency. And they're having a hard time getting it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, if you were a doctor, if you were a firefighter, there's a great special. I know we're getting off topic. What the hell? There's a great special that Diane Sawyer did. Normally, I would be like, yeah, but it was about the disappearing middle class.
Yeah.
And that really, it made me cry. It did. It really did. I felt bad for those people because when I was a kid in 1900, you could, no, 1970s, 1980s really. I graduated high school in 83, I'm 51. There. But when I was a kid, there was, if you had like, you were a fireman or a policeman, or like my dad was like vice president of a carpet company, you took care of your family. You didn't have to work. Your wife probably didn't even have to work. Or if they did, you had a dual income with kids and you had a nice life. We lived in a great community in Orange County. Whoa. I just, for giggles, we'll leave out the first part, but for giggles, when I'm like, what that house is worth that we grew up in. Just, wow. I almost felt I was like $700,000. I remember we paid $75,000 and I thought we were rich. Mm-hmm. So, you know, what it is, it's a joke, but it's true.
But what you're seeing though, and what's the result of that is that, secrets about where it's cool to live don't last long.
Correct.
So
in
like
North Park.
And I'm just saying San Diego. So like, you're seeing people now come from all over the world. Like, look at where the best places to live are. I'm talking about weather, economies, things to do.
Like
and
Austin,
people
Texas.
are slowly, exactly.
Yeah.
People are slowly from all over the world migrating towards those areas.
Interesting.
And what happens is those resources migrate with those people.
Right.
And so there's still plenty of places. My hometown, you can still buy a house for $100,000. And you can support your family on $36,000 a year as a teacher. Okay, but the places like this that are amazing, like other places in California, Los Angeles, you just go right up the coast.
Right.
Okay,
Totally.
And people are migrating in that direction, and so are the resources. So my point isn't that you won't be able to own a home in 50 years, but in San Diego, it might be so difficult that you literally have to be rich. Like $1 million could easily be, the get-in for studios, and people would be like, we should have seen this coming. It's San Diego after all.
Right.
The weather's
Well,
perfect.
look what's happening
City's
in the Bay Area. In the Bay Area, I have a couple that we just sold them a house down here. They bought their townhouse in the Bay Area in 2002 for $272,000. They just sold it for $1.3 million.
Yeah.
To me, those are warning signs. If you were a buyer, I may be a little bit concerned. But I'm telling you, at the end of the day, if you can afford, if you can get in, you should do it. There's tax advantages. Talk to your CPA. It's not a dollar for dollar advantage. There is tax benefits to owning a house, but that's something I want people to talk to their accountant about. I'm not giving tax advice, but because your mortgage payment is $2,000 a month does not mean you write off $24,000 a month.
Yeah.
I don't think.
It's to do with the interest.
Talk to your accountant. But at the end of the day, and we were saying about sellers are starting to get off the fence too, but there's still low inventory. We would need sellers to come off the fence left and right to even try to get normal. So I think that's a really, you know what? It was a really great, this is really great, because I'm going to rip off your theory. Because I think that, no, but I think that I can see that happening. Like where else?
How shocking would it be? Just ask yourself that question. Would you really be shocked?
Not shocked now.
Well, I mean, if it happened in the future, would you be like,
no,
that makes sense?
But it makes sense even right now. Like there's where is there left to build here? Like in San Diego, people are like, oh, I want a new build. You got a couple $1 million because even the ones that are on top of each other are 1.2, 1.4. Can you find some a little bit less? Not in like the forest. No way.
So new stuff starts 700.
I'm sorry, easily. And you're even seeing areas, like people would always say, there's nothing wrong with Chula Vista. I love it. I live there myself. Nothing wrong with El Cajon. But those were areas where people would normally push to when they were having affordability issues to come out of the metro area. Well, heck, you can be in El Cajon and your house is $700,000, as we know. So,
get to the
or more. Yeah. So I think $600,000 or $700,000. And we were saying about for people qualifying, it's really important if you are sitting on the fence, that step of not qualifying or getting pre-approved, fatal misstep. Find out now what you qualify for, so then you can get with the agent. Then you should get with somebody like me, somebody who knows what they're doing. there's plenty of people that come on here that are great agents, like Elizabeth, Nicole. I could name them all. I don't think Melissa. I don't think there's anyone that comes on here that's not. I really don't. I think everybody just really cares about their clients and their people. I just want people to know it's a tough market out there, and it's not for the weak of heart. It really isn't. Values are high, and you've got to reset your expectations. That was something else I was going to say with buyers. I get a lot of buyers that say, I want a $375,000 detached single-family residence in Mission Hills, North Park, whatever, and that's like, that just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You can't even get a studio, really. Don't
We're
email me MLS listing of a studio for $375,000. You can find one. I'm just saying, as a general rule, it's not plentiful.
You have to know what's there.
You do. You have to know the market.
Appreciate your time.
Of course.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
If you or someone you know is struggling with mortgage payments, listen up. Please welcome Realtor of Team Vinny SD at Keller Williams Realty, Vinny Enriquez.
There he is. Vinny, how you doing, man?
Good. Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Big hands. Not coming on to you, I'm just saying.
Should we start over? So Vinny, seriously though, this is something that's kind of a big deal and something that I really am curious about. I know it's a specialty of yours for people who, because we've seen values come back a lot.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of people who are underwater though.
Yeah.
Not every area has come back roaring.
Yeah.
And some people bought at the very top of the market and have stuck it out for so long. But then there's other circumstantial situations where people just can't make their mortgage payments anymore. So what I want to try to figure out is now, because in the short sale market, everyone knew what to do.
Yeah.
There was commercials all the time. Hey, if you're having trouble, but what about now?
Yeah.
Are there options for people now? What do you do?
Yeah, there's still options, and it's funny you say that people have been waiting to come back up. Right now in California, I think it's around 5% of all homes are still considered underwater. So even though we've had a lot of progress in that, we're still behind. So there's a couple options. One of the big things that there's kind of not a lot of knowledge on right now is the HAFA program that a lot of people are aware about. It expired end of last year, last year.
So HAFA was the
relocation.
Relocation.
Yeah, so the $10,000 relocation that people would get when they're actually doing cash for keys or a short sale. So now the platform is through another government-backed program, but through California you go to it. It's up to $5,000. Separate though, before you'd go through the bank and you'd put that in the HUD, and now you actually do it separately. So you can get up to $5,000 for relocation. Some banks still do have relocation funds, but the big one, the HAFA one, that's no more.
That's gone. Okay, so
yeah.
So
that was a big change that happened.
Okay, so that was the macro item.
Yeah,
that is different now.
Exactly, but to go across the board, the big things are going to be modification, which is you're going to request from the bank showing that you can't make the payments anymore.
So that's step one.
Yeah, step one. What you want to do is you want to call the bank. Okay. You know, call the bank.
You do call the bank.
Yeah, they're going to tell you their options. They have to tell you their options legally. Be aware if they tell you that they're recording this phone call, you can technically record the phone call on them too. And you got to be aware that they have so many different call centers that sometimes John Doe over here doesn't know what he's actually supposed to be doing. When over here, they know what they're supposed to do in the legal department. So you really want to protect themselves because they're going. We've been in some situations where there's not the best practices that are happened with these banks.
So shocking.
Yeah, exactly. But you want to call them up, get your options from them. Request a modification if that's what you're looking for.
To get an offer, basically.
Get an offer from the bank. See what the options are. The options we're going to relay to you are going to be a modification, a forbearance. A forbearance is you're going to say, okay, we're going to hold off. We can't make the payments for the next 5 months, 6 months. Can you hold off the payments for us, and then we can reinstate the rest of it after 6 months? Sometimes they'll say yes. Sometimes they'll say no. Another one is going to be a deed of lieu. Okay, so all you're doing is you're signing off the deed of your property to the lender. Now, if there's a second and a third, then you have to get approval from the second and third that they're not going to get paid off it. You're just going to give it back to the first trustee. Then there's also a short sale where you find a realtor like myself that specializes in those kind of programs. And then there's also just letting it go to foreclosure.
Okay. So first step, I realize I can't make my payment, is I do call the bank, which in the past that was different. It was like, don't call the bank because they're going to try to swindle you into some sort of wacky deal, you know. But you want to know at least, I guess, what those options are, but not necessarily like agree to something right away.
Yeah, you don't want to agree to anything. The thing is right now, and before it was a case, but more people are getting back into it. You get a lot of documents. You get a lot of people calling you. You get a lot of people door knocking. You get a lot of things, and you'll look at this paperwork that they're sending you, and you'll see that some of the stuff looks like it's from the bank. You know, so you have people that don't know, because for myself, I do this on a daily basis. My team does this on a daily basis, and so some of the stuff we look at, and it'll take me a double take to see if it's really from the bank or not from the bank.
Just a solicitor.
Exactly.
Who knows that you're in trouble and is saying, all right, they might be expecting something from the bank. Let's make our marketing piece look like it's from the bank.
Exactly. So you don't know how many times I've heard it where people call these people up and they think they're talking to someone in the bank. They think they're talking to someone that's affiliated with the bank, that they have to work with this person. So they don't know if they're talking with the right person, dealing with the right person. So it can be really difficult. Like, and it's really sad, especially when you deal with older individuals that might not, have the protection. And so that's why I say is call the bank, so you at least know that you have a representative with the bank. And you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but at least you know you're actually dealing with the right people.
The bank directly. So, maybe go into the bank and get a phone number from those guys or something like that, so you know it's legit.
You know it's legit, and that's going to be the easiest way. You can call me up, and I could tell you, but the reality is if you're doing it on your own, call them up and just make sure you're actually dealing with a direct representative.
What if I don't like those options? In other words, what if I look at that and I go, you know what? There's no way I'm going to get back to that point. And this happens to a lot of people who spend their savings making their mortgage payments. This is a really sad thing, but they'll do it until they are out of money completely. They'll get completely drained, and then they'll be like, "There's no way. We never were going to be able to do it." So, short sales are something that I don't know. It was a huge thing a few years ago.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's still happening. I mean, is it still possible to do a short sale?
Yeah. Right now we have so yeah, you can still do a short sale. Right now, just on a separate thing, we have around 2,000, I think it's around 2,000 properties in San Diego County that are currently in default. They're in some process of the default. Short sales and NODs, notice of sale, whatever it might be. But yeah, you can still do a short sale on property. And jump back a little bit. You can also sell the property traditionally too, if you have equity in the property. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a short sale if you're behind on your payments.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you can still do a short sale. It's similar to the modification process. So what happens is you're going to relate to the bank, or the representative, like myself, is going to tell the bank, this individual can't make the payments anymore. This is why they can't make the payments anymore. They're looking to sell the property. The bank is going to assess the property. Okay, they're going to do appraisal, a BPO, to assess what they feel the value of the property is. Okay, an individual like myself is going to get an offer for the bank, and then all those three of those items are going to be looked at. Now, once all three of those items are agreed upon, then you can have a agreed upon short sale, start escrow, and be a traditional.
So it's totally possible then. So if you're underwater, not able to make your payments, you don't have to go to foreclosure, I guess is where I'm headed with it, because I think a lot of times people don't know about that option, especially if you're unaware of how the business works, or if you didn't know what was going on during the short sale cycle. Maybe you were making your payments just fine in the last downturn, and you were like, we're fine, let's just stay. But things changed. And you heard the word short sale a bunch, but you don't really know what it is. So if you're underwater on the home, meaning that you owe more than what it's worth. You owe 500, it's worth 400. Okay, you're underwater. That 100 grand, and you can't just go sell the property in a traditional sense, because you got to come up with that 100 grand.
Exactly.
But you can still sell it and get yourself out from underneath it.
Exactly.
Doing a short sale.
Yeah, and the another positive of it, you're gonna be able to buy a new property sooner than you would be at a foreclosure. Right. Okay, so if you let it go to foreclosure, you have to wait the 7 years. If you did a short sale, based off of if you were a veteran and you're gonna use a VA loan, you're gonna be looking at 2 to 3 years where you can buy again. So there's a lot of positives going into it. You want to definitely talk to your CPA because they're going to tell you the tax ramifications of all the different avenues.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of positives if you're going to just let it go to auction. Another thing to really think about, if maybe a couple years ago, and I've seen this, where the individual thought they lost the property, they thought they was foreclosed on. The bank that was foreclosing on the property, they went belly up, and someone else bought the loan up. And so now these individuals don't think they own the property anymore. They find out that it's getting foreclosed on, and they still own the property. So you might want to double check too. If you thought that you got foreclosed on, but you didn't see if it was finalized, just double check, because I've seen that happen before.
Wow, what a nightmare that'd be.
Yeah.
Vinny, what's the number one thing not to do? I want to have a big takeaway here for the end of the segment. What's the number one mistake people are making? The number one not to do thing here?
I would say the number one not thing to do is if you're looking to do a modification, if you're underwater, whatever it might be, you're looking for a short sale, looking for a sale, whatever it might be, and this is any field, not all agents are the same, they don't have the same background, they don't have the same history, they don't have the same understanding of all these different products that are out there. So just because you know someone that's affiliated with the real estate industry doesn't mean they have all the answers. They don't do this on a full-time basis. Just make sure the person that you're talking to is an honest and trustworthy person that has the knowledge base to actually answer your questions.
Because
that's the
seeking
biggest
the right
thing.
counsel. Makes sense.
And making sure that they actually have look them up. I always tell people, like, people talk to attorneys, they talk to whoever, and I go, they never look up their reviews. They go, well, I'm dealing with a realtor, I'm dealing with an attorney, I'm dealing with whoever, and they go, because they're classified this, that means that they're
all the same.
They're all the same, and they're thinking
what
for
people
my
think.
best interest. And I don't know how many times I've heard it where people get taken advantage of because people are looking for the quick buck.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I see that all the time. So number one, call the bank, get your options there. Maybe explore short sale as an alternative to foreclosure if it comes to that. Be careful what the bank is offering as well, because a lot of times they'll say, "We'll forbear your payments, but we're going to add it to the end of the loan." And we're going to, they're not going to give you any money. Okay, the bank doesn't give you money; they take your money. Keep in mind, you bring your money to them, and they like it like that. They like to keep it moving in that direction. So know your options. Try to make a smart, educated decision. Contact someone like Vinny who can help you navigate these options and ultimately find out what's going to be best for you and your family for the long haul, which is what I hope we are all in it for. Vinny, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
There's a lot of construction going on in Solana Beach, so our next guest is here to tell us what it all means. Please welcome from the Giltonen Group, Ryan White.
And here he is. Can I call you Mr. Solana Beach?
I'll take that.
Okay.
I've been called worse.
Ryan White is here. Lots of construction happening. I live in Del Mar, neighboring beach town, and I've seen it too. Lots of different kinds of construction. A lot of home renovations seem to be going on as well. Can we say this is a good sign?
Well, I think so. I think it's evidence that the real estate market has finally caught up, meaning that there was a point in time when you couldn't build a home for the cost of buying something already constructed. And I think that's evidence that the market had taken a bit of a tank, and now we're coming out of that. There are some bad implications as well. I think at some point it can go off the charts, right? You get too much building and too dense, that becomes a problem. But contractors in general now, they're busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing, if we can say it. I mean, I know last time it was seen as kind of a red flag. People say, "Oh yeah, well, every house on the block is being renovated,
right?"
Because people are doing cash out loans or second mortgages and stuff like that. That's kind of a bad sign. I didn't see it that way at the time. Now I know why people were saying that.
Looking back.
So I'm just wondering, is that something we should be concerned about this time as well? That we're seeing all this construction, that maybe that's a sign that things have gotten so good that people don't think that bad is possible?
Well, I'd like to think that regulations in lending are a little bit stricter, such that using your home as an ATM and continuing to borrow 100% of the value is not something that is currently allowed. So as long as there's equity in the homeowners generally have options. So the idea of taking all the money out, putting it back in the home, or buying a jet ski and a boat and those kind of things. I believe those days are behind us, at least for the moment. Okay. I think that will probably deregulate even further, and we'll probably creep back to that eventually and probably repeat some of the same mistakes. But at the moment, and the foreseeable future, we're in a marketplace where a lot of construction is going on. The economy is pretty hot, and as you mentioned, Solana Beach is where I live and kind of where I focus. We see a lot of story polls and a lot of pending projects coming because just that. Land is hard to come by, and you can now put in the renovations and sell or be into a home for less than it would cost you to go out and buy.
Interesting. That's always been the hard part, right? I mean, it's, looking at appraisals all through the first decade of this millennia was like, it was crazy. You know, cost to build versus what appraised value was. Sure. Speaking of regulations, though, there was a regulation recently changed in Solana Beach, the granny flat rule.
Yeah, the granny flat, and if you ever go down to the city hall and ask them, they call it an ADU or auxiliary dwelling unit, but we call it granny flat. And one of the reasons I think this is important is I believe the builders and contractors of the future will design in something like this in the new homes. The ability for, well, 2 generations is husband, wife, and a kid, right? But 3 generations being grandma, grandpa, husband, wife, and a kid, living home, I believe that to be the house of the future, so to speak. And granny flat is one way of achieving that. And one of the differences is previously Solana Beach was relatively strict with what they would allow. For example, you could not have a granny flat that was bigger than 640 square feet. Well,
that's tough on Granny.
Well, I think Granny could do it, but Grandma and Grandpa can't do it, right? It becomes really difficult. So now they've expanded up to 1,200 square feet, which is really the California regulations.
That's legit.
And that's appropriate amount of space that, well, Grandma and Grandpa are probably downsizing, but still they can both cohabitate in 1,200 square feet, not kill themselves, not kill the rest of the family, and get along and be able to be part of the family unit.
1,200 square feet is quite big.
1,200 square feet is good size, but most grandparents are living in 1,200 square feet or more now. So it is a livable size for 2 people, and that's one of the really distinguishing features of the, I guess we'll call it deregulation.
So because of that rule, if I have a property in Solana Beach, I could potentially build another unit on that property up to 1,200 square feet is what you're saying.
Yes, the appropriate disclaimer is, of course, there's tons of additional regulations that go along with it, but yes, it is now up to 1,200 square feet, where previously it was 640 square feet. Previously, it also required the unit to be attached. Now you can be either attached or detached, meaning it can be attached to your existing home or not. And the other one that really makes this thing come alive is it can be rented to a non-family member. And again, there are a variety of other regulations associated with doing this, but you can build this unit. Let's say you could build it for $200 a square foot, 1,200 square feet, that's $240,000. Mortgage payment on that is around $1,200. You're not paying for the land because you already have it. You can go rent this thing for $1,200 or more pretty easily and have it pay for itself. And again, there's a variety of other rules. It is far and away not that simple, but it is one of the ways that Solana Beach, and I have to assume other areas of San Diego, are assisting with creating affordable housing.
Well, let's talk, Solana Beach is one of those places where there's only so many doors. I mean, in Solana Beach, not that many. Was there?
6,000.
6,000? Yeah, that's small. So it's nice to think that we could potentially, increase the populace there without having to go up or get, what I mean? So let me ask you as an agent, though, is that a smart investment? If I'm, looking at this rule and going, how can I take advantage of it? Is it wise? Do you get the same price per square foot when you have multiple units like that? Do you get a premium for it or not? Like, how does that work?
Well, I can kind of make predictions on what I think would be, but I'll answer your question a little bit differently. I've done it on 2 properties already, and I'm starting on a 3rd to add a granny flat.
In Solana Beach?
In Solana Beach. So I'm doing it now.
Okay,
I got to sign off a month ago, and I'm starting on another one in about 3 months to add this to my projects as I do them. Because I really do believe, and that's what the new buyer, the new family unit, will want in their life.
So that's sort of a response to the boomerang generation, if you will, or the idea that families are starting to nest longer or re-nest together for longer periods of time, which there's a variety of reasons why our people believe that that's happening, but the reality is it's happening, whatever the reasons. So if that's what's desirable, Typically, desirability, your level of desirability tells you how much your property is worth.
Sure.
How desirable is it? That's how much it's worth. So what you obviously believe, if you're doing this on your own projects, is that they're more desirable and therefore worth more.
They're more desirable, worth more, and even the expansion, what you're adding is a little bit extra plumbing, a little bit extra piping. Should you decide to not use it as a granny flat, it's just an extra room, right? You can always have it as a kid's playroom. In my case, I have built out an attic for my kids to keep all their junk in there, so hopefully it doesn't trickle all the way down through the house, which it does anyway. But it just becomes an extra room with the legal permitted aspect that it can be a standalone unit.
Right.
That usually has kitchen facilities and bathing facilities and sleeping facilities, which is a room.
Okay. And do you think that it's smart for someone who's looking to do something like that? Let's say they might have their own purposes. You're telling me obviously that you believe that the resale element is there and worth it. Is there anything in particular that they should or shouldn't do with these extra units? Like, I think it should definitely have a bathroom and a kitchen, even if it's teeny tiny. But they should definitely have those. Any other do's or don'ts for, we get 1,200 square feet is quite a bit.
Yeah, well that is where the granny flat it exists. It has to have a bedroom, a bathroom, and a kitchen in order to be a granny flat. If it doesn't have that, it's just a room. But if you are truly designing it for grandma, and in my case, this idea hit home with me because a couple years ago my father passed away, and my mother, who lives up in LA, is now by herself, doing very well, but she may not be up there forever. And giving her the ability of coming back and living with us is an important part. So something that I believe to be important is that it's single level. Putting this thing on top of your garage makes it difficult for grandma to get there, as you can imagine. And in the city of Solana Beach, under 16 feet, anything that's under 16 feet high, you can pretty much do whatever you want. There's no view objections if you're under 16 feet. So keeping it single level for multiple reasons is a big plus. And other big benefits to a granny flat, well, as I mentioned before, the potential rental income. If you decide that you want to go through that effort, it's there.
Yeah. So there you have it then. Now, one more question. As I'm thinking, I'm a Solana Beach homeowner, right? And I'm watching this, and I'm going, that sounds like a good idea. Where do I begin? I mean, do you have contacts, the contractors, the architects, or whatever's needed for someone who might want to go down this road themselves? And obviously, they could talk to you about, hey, how should I structure this to make it valuable, down the road, because everyone wants to make sure they're investing properly in their home. So we can have people get in touch with you for that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
That would be cool. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Bryan White, Mr. Solana Beach. There, you heard it. So the regulations have changed. You can now build granny flats up to 1,200 square feet. That is legit. May want to take advantage of it. And of course, you do definitely want to stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our oh-so-passionate veteran advocate is here on set to discuss VA loans. Please welcome Loan Officer of Benchmark Mortgage, Andrew Paul.
And boom, here we are. Andrew Paul's in the house. What's up, my brother?
Good to see you.
Former Navy SEAL, now serving your veterans in the mortgage business, which, that transition, I imagine, was an interesting one.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense, right? I mean, you go from jumping out of planes, blowing things up, shooting all kinds of cool guns, to doing 30-year fixed mortgages, right? Natural transition.
But you've done it well. Yeah. In fact, I've heard you say you're the best damn VA lender in the country before.
I think you said that, but I do believe that. I just try not to say it, I do believe that.
Why do you believe that?
First of all, when you said, oh, you've done that well, my military transition was a disaster. It's a cautionary tale to my fellow veterans of exactly what not to do. But once I made that transition, it took a while to kind of find my footing, to find my purpose, my passion, and what I was doing now post-military. And so I found that in doing VA loans for my fellow veterans. And you just think of it like this, military men and women are my brothers and sisters. And there's just no way that a veteran goes down the street and gets a better deal or gets better service than if they come to me. I won't let it happen. These are my bros, and I'm going to work very hard for them. The problem for me is that I have a hard time with self-promotion. I'm passionate about what I do and helping folks. It's just getting that word out there. So
I think this is an educational format where we can talk about some of those things, because there's a lot of VA misconceptions and stuff like that. In fact, I know VA buyers in the marketplace who say things like, well, my offer is not as strong. I'm against cash buyers, and all these agents out there think that, my VA offer isn't as good.
Yeah.
Or that the loans are too hard, or things like that.
Here's what happens. Most real estate agents and lenders out there don't work with a lot of veterans or VA loans. So if you're going to work with a veteran or a VA loan, you got to work with a lending specialist like myself. 80 to 90% of the business that I do are VA loans for veterans. So where some of that misconception comes from, Derek, is real estate agents who don't work with a lot of veterans. And the last VA deal that they did was some lender that didn't know what they were doing. They botched the deal. It closed later, didn't close at all. And then they blamed the VA. And people then begin to think that the VA loans are hard to close. And that's just not true. I mean, we close VA loans in 21 days or less, no problem. But it's a misconception from folks who don't know what they're doing or don't have a lot of experience working with VA loans.
Gotcha. So what about the, that's more of a real estate agent, I think,
right.
conceptual thing, but that has trickled down to the end-all consumer. But the VA loan is an amazing loan.
Right.
I mean, it's awesome for a lot of reasons, and I think a lot of people who are veterans don't really understand it.
Top reasons why the VA loan is better than anything else for a veteran. No money down, no monthly mortgage insurance, no prepayment penalty. The loan is assumable, which isn't really a big thing people are talking about right now, but down the road it's going to be extremely valuable. What that means in short is that if you're a veteran, you got a great interest rate, 3.25, 3.5, fast forward 5-10 years down the road, someone comes along and wants to buy your house, they can take over your loan at 3.25 or 3.5%. rather than going out into the marketplace and getting an interest rate at whatever they may be at that time, 4, 5, 6, who knows, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a tremendous thing. You as a veteran who's selling their house can offer to a prospective buyer. They can take over your low interest rate loan. Now, I'll just say there's some nuances with that. Don't have time to get into those details right now, but I'm happy to share that with anybody who wants to inquire further.
100% financing.
Yeah.
No mortgage insurance.
Right.
I mean, so you're talking about being able to buy a home for very little money down.
So, Derek, one of the misconceptions is that people need money to buy a house with a VA loan, and they don't. Obviously, one of the big benefits is that they can do 100% financing. Now, practically speaking, you got to make a deposit, a good faith deposit when you make an offer. There's no technical requirement for that, but most sellers in a competitive market aren't going to consider your offer if you're not willing to make a good faith deposit. Now, closing costs, there's 3 ways that closing costs can be paid for. Number one, you pay for them yourself. But if you don't have that money, you can negotiate as part of the contract for the seller to pay for some or all of your closing costs. And also, you can get a credit from the lender. And just understand that there's nothing free in this world. And in a little bit, I want to talk about some of the sort of scams that are out there or fancy marketing that can mislead folks, but there's nothing free. Whenever you see a loan that offers no closing costs, I mean, do you think that like these for-profit banks are just going to give you stuff for free? No, it's just not how it works. What happens is you trade a higher interest rate for a credit from the lender to pay for those closing costs. If you paid for those closing costs yourself, you'd be able to get a lower interest rate. So that's the trade-off. There's nothing free.
Do you think that's a good idea for people?
If you don't have the money to pay for your own closing costs and you really want to buy a house, then yeah, it's a great one. But if you have your own money, or you can get it in the form of a gift or save it up like the old-fashioned way, that's the best route to go.
Okay, get the lower rate.
Absolutely. Over the long run, you're going to save more money. But maybe you have a really short-term time horizon. Maybe you're going to buy this house and you're expecting, hey, I'm only going to be in those airplanes. Awesome jets taking off from Miramar. Maybe you're only going to be in this house for a couple of years. And so, hey, taking the higher interest rate, maybe it changes your payment by $50, $75, $100 a month. Over the course of 3 years, it's only $3,600 or something like that. That's no big deal. But if you have a long-term time horizon, it's better to come up with the closing costs yourself and take the lower interest rate.
Yeah, that makes sense, just mathematically speaking.
Right, that's all it is.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing, too, I think that is important for people to know, because people are very rate sensitive these days.
You know why most people are rate sensitive? It's because they've been inundated with a lot of online marketing, radio and TV, that all they do is advertise rate. You know why? Because those people who are doing that kind of advertising have no ability to build a real relationship and connect. They can't offer you the ability to come in, sit down, and meet with them one-on-one. And what they're interested in is just driving tons of phone calls and online loan applications. And so they do that by luring you in with a low interest rate. And then it's the job of whoever you call to close your ass, okay? And to, you don't qualify for this rate because of this or that or one other thing. And rate is important, but don't be misled by a low interest rate until you understand all the mechanisms, all the points that are going in behind that interest rate, like the down payment, the loan program, what marketplace that rate is advertised for. There's a lot of misleading information behind online ads for interest rates.
Yeah, and it is a bait and switch, even though
It really is.
legally get away with it because there's a little fine print somewhere.
Yeah, read that fine print that shows up this thick and this small for half a second on that TV when it flashes by you.
Yeah, and then in there it'll say, that you may not qualify for this.
It'll say it's for a conventional loan with 25% down and 780 FICO for a single-family detached residence in Missouri. Oh, you're buying in San Diego.
There's a lot of online companies out there that are, claiming to be VA specialists, and that
fancy marketing. That's fine. Look, I'm not saying that I'm not here to call into question their integrity. I'm just saying that understand what you're getting. And as a first-time buyer, you really are going to benefit from being able to call somebody who really does know what they're doing, who's going to take the time to answer your questions and walk you through the process. And there's really there's kind of two kinds of lenders in the world, and there's kind of two kinds of real estate agents in the world. And that is high volume discount service or a lower volume full price full service. So look, you come to someone like me, we're going to spend the time with you, we're going to walk you through the process, we're going to give you good advice. You're going to understand what you're getting. Look, go online and look at our online reviews, okay? I don't really particularly go for online reviews, but I've had a lot of past clients who have just helped me out and written a nice review online. You'll see what kind of things people say. And for some folks, all they're looking for is the lowest possible number, and they're not necessarily concerned with getting good advice, or if the number that they're being promised is what they're going to get in the end. Other people are like, you know what, I recognize I don't know what I don't know, and I need a pro who's going to walk me through this process. And if that's you, then we're the lender for you.
And this is one of the VA loan is one of the things that is a huge advantage to a financial advantage to being in the service, is that you get to come back as a civilian, or even while you're in active duty, you can still use your VA loan, right? So, you get the opportunity to buy a home with the best possible loan terms,
right,
and the least amount of money down. So it's a real opportunity for people to become homeowners in situations where they might not have otherwise been able to do so. Andrew, I know this is a huge passion for you, so I want to pass it to you so you can really tell people who are out there who are eligible for VA loans, what it's all about and why they should give you a call.
Here's the deal. Doing mortgages by themselves is like death by 1,000 paper cuts. But for me, my passion is helping my fellow veterans. If you or someone you know is a veteran looking to buy a house using their VA loan, then I would love an opportunity to speak with them and to help them out. There's a lot of bad information out there, and people who say that they care, but they really don't. As a veteran and a former Navy SEAL, I have found my purpose and passion since leaving active duty in helping my fellow veterans. Just give me a call and let me see what I can do to help you. That's the bottom line. That's my only pitch, if you will.
Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derek. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go.
No, I can't either. I'm starting to get hangry and I have way too much stuff to do today. Claudia, you've got this, right?
Sure, guys. I would love to. I'll get right to work.